Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world. And you, beautiful, wonderful, amazing, fantastic, magnificent, sublime, warm, individual human being you. The topic of today, well, it is a pretty serious matter, but at the same time I have to clothe it a little with a sense of humor, in a sense. So bear with me here. The topic of today will be grumpy old man Ahriman and, well, young child inexperienced Lucifer. We do have the world split in duality in two today, where you have the Luciferic and the Ahrimanic on a wide scale in the sleeping conditions of man. Ahriman is pretty straightforward. The materialist, the grumpy old man, the, well, remover of any fun, the remover of frivolity, the remover of, well, any kind of spiritual things that cannot be eaten or produced or consumed. That is Ahriman. He uses all his spiritual forces, all of his powers, all of his beings, more or less, to make us dry up, wanting nothing to do with anything that is compassionate, love, that can't not be eaten, that cannot be produced. He's very straightforward. You can also see them reflected in certain, it's hard to, conservatism. Conservatives. That is Ahriman. Now on the other side, you know who we have there. Do you see the reflections, objectively speaking? Do you see how they constantly fight each other and believed it to be evil versus good, or heaven versus hell? This is the illusion that has been brought into this world by these two beings. Lucifer was reflected specifically and very heavily in the hippie times. That is when Lucifer's unbridled being came out of the hippies. And then we had the Ahrimanic clapback, the, well, other swing to the pendulum, where they put a lid on that Luciferic explosion that came in the 60s and 70s. When that clapback happened, Lucifer again had himself a protest, if you will, in the representation of the disco era. That is when he truly just, I don't give up anymore. And hence they just went all out. You see, in the 60s, they at least wanted a certain form of peace, but it was a peace in stagnation, peace in, you don't get anywhere with that. You don't get any spiritual development in that. Ahriman, on the other hand, he wants you to be part of the system. He wants you to become a cog in the machine. He wants you to stay in your place. You see? Old man, grumpy, old, bitter man is Ahriman. He's kind of that. Get off of my play, get off of my lawn. That is Ahriman. No tinge of love. He is just angry, bitter, and extremely clever. Extremely clever. Same with Lucifer. Has enormous wisdom. Because they are higher beings, despite being earth beings right now. These two beings are in constant oscillation with the humankind. And you can see it outside physically pretty darn easily. Lucifer is this frivolous being. He is this, I want to have fun every time, I want to have mine. If I could be rich and live my life in leisure and luxury without having any trouble and any problem at all, that is Lucifer. On the other hand, you have, if I only can work and save up and build money, then I can finally retire and what then? He will constantly be restless because he's used to constantly working and bogging himself in production and physical life to distract constantly. None of these beings are aware of themselves. None of these beings are aware of what they put out into the world. You, by you becoming conscious, by you becoming aware of these two beings constantly having a tug of war with mankind, you put a lid on them both. You are in the middle. That is where the Christ principle lies. He came down to this earth to balance and to redeem and to purify these imbalances and imbalance of karma, more or less. Because in 869 AD, the 8th Ecumenical Council of Constantinople removed one of our three of the human being, making it a duality. It was a very, very dark moment indeed for mankind. But the wise guidance of the world took use of this, allowed us over these centuries to become free individuals, become awake as individual human beings. The Christ holds the balance, the conscious balance, and allows us to not oscillate constantly in chaos with Ahriman and Lucifer on this plane. Remember, Ahriman and Lucifer are only a pain in the butt here on earth. When we pass through the gate of death, we come to the macrocosmic again, to the spiritual again. Lucifer and Ahriman will still be down on earth, still. They are not in the macrocosmic. You see, they are here used by the higher beings as our development. Remember, this life is only temporary. And we have many lifetimes to go. And we have come from many lifetimes. And in earlier times, there were times where Lucifer was a highly sublime leader among mankind. He had amazing abstract wisdom. Take the Greeks, for example. All the Greek gods are Luciferic gods because they are abstract. Just go study the Greek gods for a tiny moment and you will quickly see how abstract they are. You cannot fully connect exactly what they are directly in relation to our inner human being. And that is what I mean by abstract. Abstraction also is, well, it might be like this or it might be like that, but who knows? That is abstraction. But we do have the ability to know. We sincerely do. Once the Roman times came and we got fully planted on the earth realm, you see, with the Luciferic Greeks, and when I say Luciferic, I do not mean demonic, devilish, not in that regard. As I said, he had some sublime wisdom to him still, but we must remember, he is not the leader of mankind in the first place. That is where we have misplaced it. Once the Romans were fully planted, that is when Ahriman started to take hold. The Roman gods were fully, more or less, earthly concepts. They can be connected to earthly types of concept symbols and realities. And that was kind of the new Ahrimanic clapback, or the Ahrimanic oscillation. And we have been going over here, blah blah blah, since. But Ahriman has really grabbed a hold since the 1500s. Or the 1600s. From 1550 or 48 or so on till now. And he became even more powerful in the 1800s. 1900s, sorry. 1950s something. You can truly through history and through what is written by certain philosophers and certain learned men, you can see the change in the spiritual forces behind all of this. And that is what we awaken with spiritual clairvoyance. And you see where things have been. Once the Christ came down here, and we have to choose him in freedom. In freedom by following the Redeemer, we are able to become conscious on both these beings if we do not take in and acknowledge the Christ and his sacrifice, because he was known through a deed, not through his wisdom and teachings alone, but through a divine deed from the macrocosm. You become aware of Ahriman and Lucifer, the tug of war. And instead of being dragged like that, you have you get that counter beam that holds them strong in the balance. They are not allowed to go beyond themselves. Lucifer is not allowed to get rain, Ahriman is not allowed to get rain within your body. Because, first and foremost, we cannot change the outer world right now. You know why? Because we cannot sustain it. You, me, that person need to change our disposition. We must change our behaviors, our values, our morality, our love. For what happens if we take a human being out of where we are today and put him in a utopia? Do you think he will be able to sustain it? Or maybe the world will turn right back to where it was because we haven't changed. We cannot change the outer world without changing ourselves. We as human beings have to change our disposition, for the kingdom of heaven is among us. So if we are to become aware of all of these things, we have to acknowledge the Christ. The Christ is the Redeemer. He is the one that brings balance into this oscillation, into this duality, making it threefold. With threefoldness, we become conscious within this oscillation. The Hermetic teachings were, you are that pole, but you are that pole, you are the whole pole. And you oscillate. But with the Christ, you stay in the middle. It must be stayed in the middle. That is where you hold balance of karma. And you can pay the karma slowly but surely through morality. I was just in this video using examples, very, very straightforward, concrete examples of what Lucifer, the feeling of them, Lucifer with his flying head. He is literally a flying head with a tail. And Ahriman, he's that grumpy imp, that grumpy man that I personally, I'm so sorry, I become so frustrated when I think about Ahriman, because how can you live like that? How can you be so bitter? How can you not see the beauty of life despite all the pains? And Lucifer, why do you not care of this world? Why do you want to run away from here? Is it something you're afraid of here? Is it something here that it is because of an error they made far back in development? We have to redeem them through the Christ, through compassion, through morality, and through judgment, balanced judgment. That is the only way they can be redeemed. And they only have a hold of your being as long as you lose your own self. Because once you lose your ego, Your ego can be dragged away by Lucifer, or it can become dried up, where you see nothing good anymore. Cynicism, nihilism, despair, fear. Ahriman is the master of fear, by the way. He wants your whole being to be filled up by fear so that you stay in your place. And Lucifer, well, he is also on the butt end of Ahriman's attacks, you see. Imagine predator and prey. Lucifer and Ahriman, more or less. Because Lucifer just wants to get away from that, and Ahriman just wants to bully. It is a sad, sad affair indeed, but with the Christ, we don't partake in it. We hold in balance instead, following the higher hierarchy in love, in goodness, in morality. Morality comes from the higher realms. It comes from an incorruptible realm, the Devakan. Once you know morality in action, in feeling, and in thought, you are connected to the lower Devakan and higher Devakan. The difference between lower Devakan and higher Devakan, it's literally the abode of the gods, more or less the highest gods, seraphim, cherubim, thrones. The lower Devakan has aesthetic beauty. That means when you see a human being do a good deed, a loving deed, a moral deed, you see beauty, you observe beauty and can perceive it through your senses. In the higher Devakan, when you see someone do a beautiful, loving, healing deed, you feel joy, you feel warmth, you feel, wow, that is so amazing, so amazing. But you also feel pain and suffering when you see someone being bullied and being non-caring, ignorant, arrogant, prideful, boastful, and demeaning. You feel pain in your soul and heart, and we should feel it. Don't deny yourself feeling that pain when you see such suffering, but don't lose yourself in it and lose yourself to hatred in it either. It is all about ourselves developing these senses, these inner senses for the divine. Once you can connect morality and love to your everyday, day-to-day practical living, when you meet people, when you go out every day and meet the world with a smile, meet the world with your heart, is when it is an attempt. We have to do it in freedom. It has to be built slowly but surely. And the balance, the scale of the balance, always stay in the middle. Never be dragged by ignorance or bitterness. Ignorance and skepticism, ignorance and fear. These two beings, become acquainted with them. But don't lose yourself to any of their temptations. They are earth beings, after all. They are earth developing beings. They are beings that are developing through us, not vice versa. So don't fall for their lies. Don't fall for their temptation. Have you seen the state of the world today? Do you think we need more hedonism? Do you think we need more, control? Like, do your thing, huh? No. We need freedom. Freedom in morality. That is what's needed today. Connect to Devakan. Purify your astral body, creating spirit self. Purify your etheric body, creating life spirit. Purify your physical being, creating spirit man. Become aware of your physical, etheric, astral, and ego in the first place. And be curious. And don't fall for the temptations. Stay pure, stay strong in your intentions. Because when you do that behind the scenes, you have, all of a sudden, over time, you have the power to speak. You can speak. You stay strong to the practice. You stay strong to the love. So, I will leave you with this today. Well, it was a fun topic though. And it took some time to find a real topic today, but I seriously and sincerely trust that what I put out is good. And it is a guidance for certain people, and it might hit it might hit a nerve, it might hit a nail on the head here. But remember, being biased here is not the way to go. It is about objective observation of everything happening around, and what has occurred in history and what we are to do today. We are to redeem the world, the earth. Anything beyond that, you think we are deserving of anything here. It's grace. It literally is grace, because we would otherwise not have anything. Don't misplace that. Don't misplace the grace with favor, being favored over anyone else, being favored by God in any... No. No. It is grace for every individual that chooses the path, because it is sorely needed. A conscious, clear, reasonable observation of the world already indicates this. Have you seen how many that has seriously taken the worst of the worst temptations today? Don't follow that. We have more than enough chaos, suffering, struggles. So, morality and love, and goodness out of our hearts, and truth, real truth. So study anthroposophy, Rudolf Steiner, and spiritual science. We sorely need understanding, compassion today. It is lacking, and it has become a kind of a war against all lately. And that is, well, it is already predicted in the Revelation, the war against all. We destroyed ourselves in Lemuria by fire. We destroyed our culture in Atlantis by water and air. And we are going to more or less decimate our culture and being, our culture, not our soul and spirit, mind you. It is all about redeeming ourselves here. But we will destroy ourselves by earth or war against all in the future. It has already begun, this segregation, separation, non-understanding, non-compassion. Be compassionate with choice, because we can only choose it in freedom these days now. May Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, Michael, Urifiel, the Godhead, Seraphim, Cherubim, Thrones, Kyriadities, Dynamis, Exousiae, or spirits of wisdom, spirits of movement, and spirits of form, Archai, Archangeloi, and Angeloi, or spirits of age, spirits of fire, and spirits of twilight. Bless, protect, guide, and love you, and may you truly take the invitation and promptings that you are given. May you become a human being, a true human being. And I send you prayers and love every day, because I have faith in you. We have faith in the world. So, I love you all. Goodbye. And thank you. Thank you for you being you.